So I'm a CPA. I've been a CPA. I've been in the profession for 34 years. The first 18 years of my experience, I was in a traditional accounting firm. So I was in a multiple partnership firm. I did my articles. I got my CPA designation. I worked hard to become a manager. Then I worked even harder to become a partner. And it was like a grind, like a freaking grind, like go, billable hours, filing as many tax returns as I possibly could. And what happened was at the end of that 18 years, my partnership imploded. And I like to say I went south, or the partnership went south and I went north. And so what happened is I went and started up my own accounting practice on my own. And I was really disillusioned after those 18 years. Like I had put 18 years of my blood, sweat, and tears into becoming a CPA. And then what happened was it was all just taken away, like poof, gone. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Why did I work so hard? So when I started up my next accounting practice, and I went, like I said, I went north, and then I decided to go, okay, so let's set up a new accounting practice. I went, this is ridiculous. There's got to be a better way. Like I just spent 18 years of my life putting in ridiculous hours every spring to do all the tax season, stressing about billing my clients, and really not feeling like I'm delivering the value that I really could for my clients. So what I did was I became like my clients. I started acting like an entrepreneur. So I started working and testing and trying different methodologies to change my accounting firm. So in other words, I started acting like the people I was supposedly advising. That's the thing I find the funniest thing in the world, Bimnu, is like how accountants can actually advise business owners on on their business when we don't even take care of our own business. Like it's quite funny, right? I laughed at it afterwards. I looked at it and went, wow, I can't believe that those first 18 years I was advising clients on things that really I had no idea about, right? I understood tax, understood accounting, but not business. So anyways, so for the next 8 years, I tested and tried different methodologies. And then I found one that worked incredibly well. So for those last 8 years of my career in the accounting world, so 18 in a multiple partner and then 8 years outside, I found a model. We never worked a single hour of overtime for those last 8 years. Okay. And by the way, this was well before Entigrity even showed up on the map. Like there was no offshoring when I did this, right? There was no opportunity to get talent and to do that. We didn't work a single hour of overtime. I made way more money in those last 8 years than I ever made in those first 18, like literally way more in the last 8 than the first 18. And I had a whole bunch of free time and clients that just loved to work with me because I shifted my entire model. So then what happened was I sold the accounting practice, and then I went, okay, now what do I want to do with my life? Like, what do I want to be now? And then I had a bunch of accountants reach out to me, ask me, hey, Eric, how did you do that? I heard that you sold your accounting practice. I heard you weren't doing billable hours. I heard you were making a ton of money. And I'm like, I don't know who was saying that, but anyways. And so next thing I know, I started coaching with accounting firms. I started showing them how to shift their business model. I ended up writing the book called The Accountant Success Formula. And I have an online course and an accountant's resource hub, which shows accounting firms how to update their business model. So and so that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years. So now we've done, let's say if I got the math right. So we got 18 at the front end with a traditional firm, 8 years figuring out my own practice. And then I've been doing for the last 8 years, I've been working with accounting firms across the world, showing them how to update their business model. Because my catchphrase is when you take back control of your business model, you can take back control of your life. So my number one goal is I believe accountants are overworked, underpaid, and undervalued. And so I want them to reclaim their 3 freedoms back: money, clients, and time. So by updating their business model, that's how the firms that I've been working with have been doing it. One of the things I want to highlight is this overarching, some people don't like it when I say this, but we've been brainwashed. The accounting profession has been brainwashed. And you and I have had conversations about this from both sides. I believe that they've been brainwashed from the revenue side, like in terms of thinking that the billable hour is the holy grail, and that, what's this subscription value price? model. That doesn't make any sense. Like, so accountants have been brainwashed not only by themselves, but by their institutes, their professional bodies, to think that that is the only way to do things. The same thing with the other side. They've been brainwashed into believing that, oh, you know, you got to do all the work in house. You can't be offshoring. You can't be sending work overseas and that sort of thing. Now, the great thing is that the whole trend is shifting now. It's been shifting, but I've seen it like for the last 10 years, I've been talking about this over and over with accountants and just saying, hey, this is what's going on, like get on board. But there's a resistance to offshoring. There's a resistance to value pricing. But I think it's because there's been an overwhelming, we've been brainwashed. Like we really have. It's just, we've been down the rhetoric. Like the joke for the accountant, I always say, you know, why did the accountant cross the road? And they're like, I don't know why. And I said, because they did it last year, right? Because that's what accountants do. We do what we did last year because it's safe. It's in the box. For me, I've been working on breaking the mold of the accountant to start thinking about their business model. And when we're talking about a business model is how you create, deliver, and capture value. And literally in your business model, you have a revenue side and you have an expense side. You want to increase your revenues, decrease your expenses. And so this is why I have this affinity with Entigrity, is that I love what you're doing because you guys have the expense side dialed in and it's great. And I focus on the revenue side and fixing that model. And you put the two together and you have this magic that happens because then the accountant makes more money. They actually get delivery to the client what they really want. And then they get a whole bunch of more free time. So and I'm talking to the kind of the wave that's been happening. When I first started this and 10 years ago, and even like I transformed my accounting firm. Oh crap, let's do the math here. It's just I'm a chartered accountant originally. So you know what CA stands for is can't add, right? Without an adding machine, you can't add. But let's say like 15 years ago, probably is when I started or 16, it would have been 16 years ago. I started transforming my accounting practice. Back then, no one was really doing it. At least now we have a trend where accountants are starting to see and be aware of value pricing. They're being aware of offshoring. So I welcome the listeners that are watching and listening to this, is to go just question your business model. We are in business. Accountants are in business, right? We are not an extension of the government. We have our own companies, our own businesses. You can take back control of it and build it the way you want to. And so one of the things that that's what I've always tried to do is I want accountants to have a path to freedom. And part of that is freedom of time. So I want to talk to the integrity piece and the offshoring because I just love it, because more and more accountants are starting to wake up to it. And here's the interesting thing. You've kind of got a perfect storm. Again, we've had conversations about this. The pandemic has created the great resignation. People are leaving the accounting profession in the droves. They are running from it. They're not going into it. They're saying, I'm not going to be a part of this, which for the reasons why they're doing it, I applaud them, because I wouldn't want to do it either. Like when I first started, and I'm starting to sound like an old man. Back when I started in the accounting profession, it was what we walked to work in the snow. But it was a grind. It was a badge of honor to work these ridiculous hours and to be stressed out to the nines. And the person who did the most tax returns wins, right? It was an insane mentality. But I'm seeing this shift happening now. The great resignation of the pandemic, pushing accounting and talent out the door, and they're just running away. They're not coming in. And all of a sudden now all these accounting firms are sitting there going, where do we get the talent? How do we get the work done? How do we get the work done? And I'm like going, hello, Entigrity. Hello, go phone Entigrity. Hello, go to Entigrity. You have the capacity. You have the offshoring. There are so many people where you're based out of that want to work. They want to actually do the accounting work. They want to do that. And not only that, they've got credentials that are insane. Like the firms that I work with that I've told them, I said, okay, now that we've dialed in your revenue model and we've got it all dialed on that side, okay, now let's plug in, let's fix the expense side of the model and let's get the support from over there. They're blown away by the quality of the talent that you provide them. And they're like, I'm working with like qualified chartered accountants in India at this level, at high level, at a fraction of the price. And so it's kind of this perfect storm. You've got this huge resignation from the pandemic. Everybody's heading out. Accounting firms are desperate for anybody to do work. They're desperate for anybody. But once they finally dip their toe in the water and they go and they work with you, they're like, oh my gosh, actually, this is way easier than having landed people. So there's accounting firms out there that have literally, there's a partner and maybe one or two staff, maybe, and then the rest of their team is offshore. And I think it's brilliant because the people that are offshoring are doing what they really want to do. They want the work. They want to do the work. And the accountants that are in North America, right, or anywhere else in the world, they can focus on what they want to do. The biggest hindrance, the biggest challenge to that, it's simple. It's their thinking. It's their mindset. It's the hardest hurdle to get over. And really, as humans, let's be honest, it's our problem. It's our human condition. Because what happens is we've been conditioned to believe certain things. Like I call it, especially with the accounting firm, with the traditional accounting firm model, they've been brainwashed. I mean, the subtitle of my book is, I don't know if you can see that there. It's saying, freeing today's accountant from an oppressive business model. The top is, have you ever asked yourself, does it always have to be this way? Right? And the thing is, we don't question it because we just keep suffering. Humans are incredible creatures when it comes to sticking with what they know, even when it hurts them. You know what I mean? Like we will just do it over and over and over again, even though it's hurting us. So the biggest hurdle, the biggest challenge of offshoring is getting your head wrapped around that it's okay. Not only is it okay, once you experience it, it's amazing. Like it works incredibly well. So once that, and for me on my side with the Accountant Success Formula, showing accounting firms that they can take back control of their business model. They can actually change the way they do it. When they do change it, they'll make way more money, have way more free time on their hands, and have clients that really appreciate what they're doing. It's when you take back control of it, but they don't even realize they can. So I'd say 90% of my work is just making accountants aware of the fact that they have the opportunity to take control, that there is a different way, that there is an option to actually remove themselves from their suffering. Then from there, they reach out to me and they're like, okay, Erik, I've had enough. I've been watching your videos. You've been basically, rubbing salt in the wound for like 2 years. And now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, finally, I'm ready to shift. Okay. I'm like, all right, okay, fine, great. Let's do it. So the biggest hurdle for both sides, for you, for my business and for yours, is getting accountants to change their mindset around the fact that they can take back control of it and that there's a different way they can do things. I've been in this space for a while. And again, I've been focused on the revenue side of the model. So showing accountants how to value price their services, shifting from a billable hour to a value-based subscription model. I've been talking about subscription models for 10 years. I implemented a subscription model 16 years ago. So I've been focused really on the revenue side. So what was happening is that with the accounting firms that I was working with, I was getting them up to on the surfboard. And then all of a sudden, they're making incredible money and they're not having to chase their clients for cash. Like this is the big thing. One of my things is stop chasing the money. Stop chasing the money. Get paid ahead of time. Don't chase the money. Make it automated so you don't even have to worry about WIP and AR and all that stuff. So once I got those firms up on the platform, all of a sudden they were like, okay, Erik, okay, yeah, this is great. Now, and then they look at me and they go, okay, now what? And then I'm like, okay, now let's focus on your expense side of your model, right? Let's get that dialed in. And then I started looking at it and going, okay, where is our costing measures? Because I look at metrics inside the accounting firm. It's like, what is your salaries as a percentage of overall revenue? What is your overhead as a percentage of overall revenue? Now, most accounting firms try and target around 50% flow through. Like that's what the industry is trying to get to. Whenever you see an accounting firm for sale, they're looking for a 50% flow through of net income to partner. But the numbers are always fudged. I'll tell you that right now. I think most accounting firms would dream of getting to 50%. Okay. With my model, with the Accountant Success Formula, like I was getting, when I had my accounting firm, I had a 72% flow through. So every dollar that came in the door, I took 72 cents home. right? And this is before I even had Entigrity on my side. But with the accounting firms that I've been working with, I've been showing them, they're starting to get to that model, and they're getting that flow through rate, because that's the thing I care about. It's not your total revenues, it's what you take home in your pocket. Like, that's the thing that matters to the accountant. Like, think about it. He's like, oh, I've got, 15 million in sales. That's great if you're bringing home 100 grand. Like, that don't make a lot of sense to me, right? So it's about the flow through. So when I started working with accounting firms, I was like, okay, let's work on this. And then we can start looking at technology, and we haven't even talked about AI and the rest of it. But I wanted to position the accountants first in front of the client as the trusted advisor, getting the bigger, better price, and then working on the inside of the model. So what I did is I started looking inside the model. I'm going, okay, now it's like we need offshoring. And so I've interviewed and talked to a whole bunch of different offshoring and different, outsourcing opportunities. And I came across Entigrity, and I was talking with Chris. Him and I first started talking, and we really built a rapport. I've been talking with Sean too. Him and I've had really great conversations, and I started working with you with my accounting, with my clients. So I was testing you with my clients. That's how I started it. And I was like, this is working really well. The onboarding process, the feedback I was getting from my accounting firm client firms, I'm tripping over my words here. We're coming back saying, man, that was really easy. That was really, and you keep getting better. That's the other thing I really love, is that you haven't just sat on your laurels and gone, okay, we're done, right? You keep improving the process. You keep, you come to the next thing, and it's like, okay, well, we can make this a little bit better. And that's the feedback I'm getting from all the firms that are working with you as well. They're like, no, this is great. We found a little, like with any business, there's going to be glitches here and there, but they're like, hey, there was this a bit of a not a smooth transition in this piece. I told them about it, and they literally changed it right away. So that's the other thing I really love about you guys, is that you're quick to move and adapt and make it as smooth and as simple as possible. So, that's how I ended up working with you. And then again, doing, webinars and speaker presentations, and, it's getting the word out for the Accountant Success Formula and getting the word out for Entigrity. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. I find that pain is an incredible motivator. Okay, there's kind of two types of there's two types of human. One is constantly looking for growth and wanting to get better and better all the time. The other one is they don't do anything until it hurts. It really hurts. So the accounting firms that I work with are the growth-minded accounting firms. They're like, you know what? But the interesting part is it came from pain. It always stems from pain. There's some stress and thing that really irks them. And they're like, this is not. And then once they start working with me, they shift from shall we call it a pain-based human being to a growth-based, because they didn't. Here's the truth of the matter. It's not our fault as an accounting profession. Okay. Like I talked about us being brainwashed, but it's not our fault. It's just we've been conditioned to believe this. So it takes a lot of pain and suffering for accountants to finally go, I need to change. And for me, it happened the same thing. Like that's what happened to me. I had to lose my first accounting firm to finally start looking at a better way of growing, a better way of working with my accounting firm. Once I got a taste of the fact that I could change things and they could get better, I switched from being a pain-based individual to a growth-based individual. And so that's what these firms that I'm working with is that they came from pain. There was a pain that was going on. I gave them hope, saying there's a better way. They started testing and trying. They went, oh my gosh, this is great, and I love this. And they've turned into growth-based individuals. So they start growing. So the same thing happens that I find with the other firms out there that are not in the accountant success formula. Like it doesn't matter where they are. Like if they don't want to do the accountant success formula, that's fine. You know, I'm an acquired taste. There's other gurus out there. Or if you don't want to talk to other specialists in this field, if you're just happy with your firm, great. But they're feeling the pain of not having staff. Like the Great Resignation has created such a pain point that they need this. They need this. And this is such a simple solution, but it's the mindset that needs to be overcome. I find that extreme pain does an amazing job of knocking down those barriers of the mindset, right? But the one last point I kind of want to highlight, it floors me how much suffering humans can go through just because they keep doing what is comfortable. Like, it's what we've done always. So I'm just going to constantly just stay in my pain and my suffering, right? So my job is just to continually kind of, hey, by the way, you don't have to. Hey, by the way, you don't have to. Hey, by the way, you don't have to, and then eventually they go, oh, maybe I don't have to. Like, maybe I don't have to suffer. Maybe it doesn't have to be this way, right? And so it's with both sides of the equation. So when they're like, oh, maybe I should try offshoring. Maybe I should give Entigrity a call. Maybe I should try it. I find it's pain that spurs that movement, right? And really what it is that we all have a vision of our future, of what we want for ourselves. And it's all based on our present and our past, what's happened in our past and what our present moment looks like. And it's like, okay, I'm not happy with this. Okay, well, you can change it. That's the key. You can change it. You can take control of and when you take control of your business model, you can take back control of your life. Just if you've had enough suffering and you don't like what's going on, you can change it. And it can be your firm. And this is the final piece. I want accountants to have what the firm they want, but most of them don't even realize they have a choice. They think they're being forced by the market to do things, but it's not. You actually have a choice to build the accounting firm you want to build for yourself. But if you do it, you need to do it in a model that works for you, not against you. And so when you combine the accountant success formula and Entigrity offshoring, you put those two together, all of a sudden you have this incredible freedom to do what you want to do. And so that's what I love about this working relationship that I have with you. It just combines the two together. And yeah. And so part of this, what I've, and one of the things that I've done now is that I do one-on-one coaching with accounting firms. I had an online program, and it's a ASF resource hub. It's Accountant Success Formula Resource Hub. And I used to sell that access to that resource hub. And it's like all the templates, agreements, everything you need to actually implement this model to your accounting firm. I used to charge over $2,000 for that course. I'm now giving it away for free. So any accountant that wants it can have it. And they get into that, and then they get to see all the other resources. And I have Entigrity sitting in there as well. Like, if they haven't seen or heard about Entigrity, I'm like, go check that out. Here's value priced. This is how you do it over here. And it's a free resource that I'm bringing out. I've just started opening that up right now. And so it's free for them so that it's the awareness, I think, is what they need. We just need to make them aware. And that's what, part of this communication is. And you and I talked about this before we got on the interview. That the whole purpose of this is to give people awareness of the fact that there is something out there that's going to help them, right? This is just an awareness piece. We're just having a conversation just to make them aware. Awareness piece. We're just having a conversation, investigate. And then once they investigate, they can decide to maybe try it. And once they try it, then they'll know if it works or not. Right. And so this is a lovely thing. Do not believe nor disbelieve what we're saying. Actually go and try it, experience it, and then you will know. It's interesting because literally 10 years ago, I wrote a white paper on where I believed the accounting profession was going to go. And I'd been beating the drum for a long, long time on it. And deaf ears, it fell on deaf ears for a long time. And now all of a sudden you're starting to see the wave coming. So the pandemic, AI is coming together. All these pressures are starting to come down on the firm, and everything's happening. Not to say that I'm a fortune teller, but I saw the writing on the wall where all these things are going to go. And so one of the things that I keep telling accounting firms, I said, the days of putting numbers in boxes are over. The days of putting numbers in boxes are over. You need to position yourself as an advisor to your clients, and you need to be able to help them support the life they're trying to build for themselves and being that advisor. And a lot of accountants are all like, well, how do I be an advisor? I don't know how to advise. How do I advise people? Right? Well, you actually use all the skills you've learned through your CPA designation to actually just reframe and look at what the client's doing a little bit differently. That's all it is. It's just the way you look at things, right? When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So it's just a shift in perspective and looking at it differently. And so for me, I'm like, look, if you're just happy with putting numbers in boxes, your days are numbered. This isn't a doomsday thing. This is just fact, because AI is going to take that away. It's going to zip it away. Boom, 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 away we go. This is where I've saw the whole thing going. So I saw phase one is where, and when you offshore and you're doing offshoring, it reduces your costing model. In any economic environment, when your costing model drops, there's automatically a downward pressure on price, right? It's just economics. So when an overall costing model drops, the pricing model drops. So we have offshoring and AI kind of combined together is going to reduce the pricing model. How do accountants manage to keep their prices high enough so the prices don't drop down with it and they end up working more for the same amount, right? For me, it's all about positioning them as the client's advisor to be able to get in front of them and say, I will help you traverse all this area. Then what we do is we use offshoring, we use AI as a tool to support us sitting in front of the client and doing the conversations that we had. Like, professional accountants need to be professional. And a lot of the work that they've been doing, they shouldn't be doing. And so that's the first stage. I was like, get it to offshoring. Get it. Like, there's so many people that Entigrity, they want to take care of that stuff. Let them take care of it. And then they're like, people have said to me, well, Eric, you're saying that first of all, for stage one is Entigrity and then stage two is going to be AI. Isn't that Entigrity going to go away? And I'm like, no, it's like, it becomes a tool. Entigrity. And I know for a fact that you guys are working in the background to harness the AI power on your side of the model too, so that you can become more effective and efficient on what you're doing. So it's a matter of, for accountants, I want to see them step in front and be the trusted advisor they've always been trained to be. I mean, the amount of schooling that we go through to get our professional designations, let's have that right conversation. And in the accountant success formula, I show them how to have the actual client conversation. It's not difficult. It just takes a change in mindset away from putting numbers in boxes to actually going, okay, what is the client really trying to build for themselves? And are we actually structuring their ownership? Are we giving them their compensation right? Are we doing tax efficiency right to actually give the client what they want? So it's just a matter of the accountant stepping into the advisory role, right? And so and I've been seeing this coming for a long time. That's why I keep telling accountants, I'm like, I honestly see a tsunami coming in. And all I'm telling them is I'm saying, hey, dude, I got a surfboard for you. Like, here, get on the surfboard. And once you're used to the surfboard, when the tsunami comes in and it takes away all those putting numbers in boxes stuff, right? Because you're not going to, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that anymore. We can get that taken somewhere else. You'll be on top of the surfboard advising the client using the tools. So I do a weekly video, and one of them I said is, don't be a tool. I said, when you use the tool, they're really powerful. Well, when it's using you, you're the tool, right? So that's the ultimate trend I see coming on here, is that accountants need to step forward, and it's about the personal relationship. So it's not hiding behind and doing just the numbers and the crunching. And this is the hardest part, is most CPAs get into the profession because they like playing with numbers and they don't want to be talking to people, but they're going to need to get in front. They have that relationship with the client already. That's the thing that's most important. That's the thing what humans want anyways, is connection with one another. The clients want to know that you're taking care of them. How you do it, they don't really care. So let's do it in a way that works really well for your model, your business model, that gives you your 3 freedoms, and so that you can actually deliver what the client really wants, which is the relationship with you.